Just came out of the budget speech, and I thought I'll share with you a couple of my thoughts on what we saw this year in the budget. Although the budget's claiming that it's putting Manitoba families first, I think if you really look at the fact of the matter, it's actually, of the tax record of this NDP government, they put corporations first. And just to put that in a highlight, individual taxes account for roughly 80% of revenue, while corporate taxes are only accounting for 20% of Manitoba's revenue. I think it's also important to highlight, in the provincial leaders debate, I asked Premier Sillinger, would you consider increasing welfare rates? And to put it into context for people, a single individual would get $285 a month to rent an apartment. An apartment at that rate simply cannot be had, and what that means is people take out of their food and their clothing budget. It's got to a crisis point. This government bragged about nearly $2 billion in tax credit over the term of their government. But what have they offered for those who need it most? By putting the money in the pockets of those who need it most, it's good for the economy because that money will be spent quickly, and therefore it will help out businesses as well. I think we also saw very little on environmental protection in this budget. So in terms of environmental protection, I just ran into Finance Minister Stan Struthers. I said, he briefly mentioned a commitment to environmental protection and innovation, but could you give me any details of what we could look for? He told me I'd have to stay tuned. Well, I can tell you, I've stayed tuned to this channel for more than a decade, and I'm not impressed, and I don't want to really keep watching, although I'm keenly aware that it'll be on the channel for at least the next few years. I really think that there could be a lot of improvement, really focusing, as I said, on environmental protection, on things that work for Manitobans, that Manitobans want to see. This government wants to continue the same lines of falsehoods. They want to claim we're building 1,500 new units of affordable rental housing, but at the same time, we're losing so many to condos and conversions that there's a net loss, not a net gain. This government wants to say that building new hydroelectric dams in Manitoba's north is going to keep hydro rates low in Manitoba, but in fact, the Public Utilities Board has warned it's exactly the opposite. The building of new hydroelectric dams is going to increase the debt load of Manitoba Hydro, and is going to almost uncertainly result in increased rates for Manitobans. Hydro is not necessarily Manitoba's oil, and I think we need to look at things differently. This is why I think we need Greens in the legislature. I think, just if I could, I think it's always important to mention a few positives. So some of the positives of the budget. Ministers are taking a 20% reduction in their salary, and MLAs are holding their salary still. I think that is a good start. I also think an increase of 2.5 cents on gas tax and a $35 a year fee on automobiles dedicated to roads may not be a bad thing. Greens have long since been calling for trying to tax in a manner of this way in terms of taxing on consumption, but I think what's important is to ensure that the revenues that are earned are spent on public transportation, are spent on bike paths, and are appropriately spent on our roads, because as anything else, the devil is in the details, so it'll be a matter of how those funds are managed. They've also announced the Energy Opportunities Fund that was announced in the provincial election, I think partly because of pressure of the Green Party and others. I haven't yet had a chance to review how much funding has been accorded to that. So those are some of my quick thoughts on the budget. I think if I could sum it up really quickly, I would say they tried to keep everything frozen, and we haven't seen anything flashy in this budget, and we aren't seeing a commitment towards families, and we aren't seeing a commitment towards the environment.